In today's lesson, I'm going to teach you the secret to how to beat your competition during your next project management interview. Keep in mind that this lesson is focused on existing project managers who are looking for that next job or contract. If today you are not a project manager but are looking to break into this space for the first time, then I'm going to invite you to do two things. Watch this video because it is going to help you. And number two, stay tuned to my channel because in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be posting another video teaching you how to break into project management from the outside. All right, let's go. Okay, let's quickly review what you're going to learn in this lesson. Number one, I'm going to teach you the secret to being successful in a project management interview. Number two, we're going to take a look at the landscape from where interviewer questions come from so that you understand how to prepare for the more general questions you might get. Third, we're going to discuss 3 key questions you absolutely have to nail if they're asked. Fourth, we're going to take a look at some important questions you need to ask your interviewer. And finally, we're going to talk about some of the things you should definitely avoid during your interview. When it comes to interviewing for a project management position or contract, most candidates focus on the project management lifecycle, project management lingo, project management frameworks, and so on. And those things sound nice in a conversation, but I can tell you right up front that is not the secret to beating your competition. You see, an understanding of project management fundamentals is what makes you the same as the other candidates. It is not what differentiates you from anyone because you have to at least know those things to be in the room. After years of building high-performing project management teams and dozens of interviews, I can tell you without any fear of being wrong that what's going to help you beat the competition is how well you know your story as a project manager and how well you can tell that story. Let me unpack that for you. The secret to success in a project management interview is knowing where to gain the edge over another candidate. And I can't stress enough that you will not beat the other candidates with just knowing project management. The better candidates know it like you do. The secret lies in the path that led you to project management. You see, a savvy interviewer knows that 90% or more of project managers did not study project management in college. In other words, where we could expect a resource like a software developer to come to their job having studied a 4-year degree in engineering or computer science, an experienced project manager's background is a bit of a mystery since they most likely did not study project management in college. You may want to try this. I challenge you to go ask 10 project managers how they became project managers, and you'll be lucky if any of them tell you they studied it in college. So, when the interviewer leads out with a question like, "So, tell me a little bit about yourself," use that interviewer's lead question to plant the differentiator in their minds. This is an open-ended question. Tell me a little bit about yourself. It's just an icebreaker, but you're going to use that opportunity to sneak past your competition. For example, if this is a job where you'll be leading software developers and you started your career as a developer, your story matters. If this is an infrastructure project management role and you've worked the help desk or you used to be a network engineer or any part of infrastructure, your story matters. If you think about it, it's why Instagram and Facebook have become so popular. People are drawn to your story. I've done so many interviews and I can almost guarantee you that your competition is going to blow this icebreaker opportunity talking about their hobbies and where they grew up as a child and the nonprofit organizations they work with. And that's okay, but it's not going to move the needle in terms of giving them a leg up on this job. Trust me on this. Do your homework, read the job description carefully, and polish your story. It is the thing that is going to make a connection with that interviewer and ultimately make the difference. Now that you've prepared to tell your story, the next thing you need to do before you walk into a project management interview is understand the routine that a project manager goes through on a daily basis. What you see on the screen is not the project management lifecycle, but rather it is the task lifecycle that we go through as project managers day in and day out, week in and week out. Many of the general questions that you'll get from the interviewer will come from this life cycle. Your competitors will most likely focus on the project lifecycle and other things you can Google, but few candidates prepare to discuss what happens on the ground day to day. And that's what the interviewer wants to know. They want to know if you have a grasp of what a project manager deals with on a daily basis. If you look at the screen, we set up projects, we assign tasks, we collect status, we analyze project data, and then we report on it in that order. We come back the next week and we do it all over again. We may not have to set up the project all over again, but we assign tasks, we collect status, we analyze project data, and we do reporting all over again. Any of the tasks on this slide can be turned into a question by the interviewer. For example, what kind of analysis do you go through in preparation for submitting status reports to management? By having this task lifecycle very clear in your mind, it will help you speak to all the things you consider prior to dealing with weekly or monthly status reports. That way your answers to questions will be full and complete and not disjointed or out of order. You can't do reporting before you analyze project data. You can't analyze project data without collecting status. You can't collect status without assigning tasks. And of course, you cannot assign tasks if your project is not set up. So take this framework you see on the screen, add buckets if you need to, drop your tasks into the right buckets and use it to prepare for general project management questions that deal with common daily tasks. Most candidates are not going to do this. They're going to prepare on Google and they're going to sound like robots and like they don't know what they're doing. And this is just an example. It's not meant to be all-inclusive. It's just my way of helping you get your head around how to study and prepare for questions related to everyday project management tasks. Okay, let's take a look at a few questions that you absolutely have to nail if they come up. And remember, we've already discussed the task lifecycle, and we know that most questions will come from there. But the 3 questions I'm going to share with you here are not part of a lifecycle, and they could trip you up if you're not prepared. The first one is, what are your weaknesses as a project manager? It's a fair question, and obviously you can't say you have no weaknesses because that would make you a liar. So here's the perfect answer to that question. Your strengths are your weaknesses. They've been hearing about your strengths throughout the interview, and now they want to know what your weaknesses are, and the interviewer is not expecting this answer. Your strengths are your weaknesses. If you have a strength in being bold, then maybe you don't know how to be softer when you need to. If your strength is that you're determined and you never give up, then your weakness is that you may not know when to let something go. If your strength is that you have a mild spirit, then your weakness is going to be that sometimes you're too nice when you should be tougher. So don't squirm in your seat and look for something bad to say about yourself to sound honest. Just let them know your strengths are your weaknesses, and part of what you do as a project manager is that you look to balance these all the time. Next question. What is your leadership style or leadership philosophy? This is also a great question, and you need to understand what this is. Here's the perfect answer. You lead by example. You know, many candidates, they start looking for all these philosophies and all these things, and you really just need to let them know, look, you lead by example. And furthermore, leaders need followers, and for your team to follow your lead, you must be an authority in their eyes. And you've learned to view authority as a math equation. Authority equals know-how. Okay? Authority equals know-how. When people see that you know how to do what you're doing, you become an authority in their eyes. And so by leading by example and by knowing your job, that's how you lead. Finally, why are you the best candidate for the job? Again, good question. Many people get tripped up by this. And here are the answers. First of all, never compare yourself to another candidate. Let them worry about doing the comparing. You just let them know that you're sure there are other good candidates out there that are good for the job, but you're the best fit. Did you catch that? There's good candidates, and then there's the best fit, and that's who you are. Focus your answer around you being the best fit. And of course, for you to really make the case here, you had to have been listening to the interviewer and engaged in the conversation. But they've heard your story, they know that you know the life cycle of tasks, and now when you let them know that you're the best fit, you'll be able to convince them based on a strong interview. To beat your competition, you need to provide the best answers to the questions that are asked. But you also need to ask the best questions. So make sure that you're asking questions along the way as appropriate, because it shows that you're interested and engaged. Whatever you do, don't leave without asking these questions. First of all, what created this job opportunity? And what you're after here is you want to know whether you're replacing someone or whether this job was created by growth in the company. It reminds me of an experience that I had years ago when I was speaking to a hiring manager who told me he was looking for a new project manager because the last 15 project managers couldn't get the job done. And I remember thinking to myself, the last 15 project managers couldn't get the job done? That did not sound like a job I was interested in. There was definitely an issue with his leadership. So make sure you understand what the background is for an opportunity before you say yes to a job. Next, who do project managers report to? And here, you want to know if they report to a project management organization like a PMO, or if they report to functional managers. And what you're looking to understand here is the reporting relationships and whether you would be reporting to the same person that your resources report to. If that's the case, your authority as a project manager may be severely impaired and you may not really want this job. The better opportunities are the ones where project managers have a different reporting structure than their resources. The next question you want to ask is, what is the career path for project managers at this company? Companies who take project management seriously have career paths for their project managers. Finally, what is the project management environment like at this company? What tools do they use? What training is available? What support will you get for certification if you decide to go that route? All these things are important for you to consider before you say yes to a project management job. Remember, you're looking for the best fit, not just any job. Okay, in closing, let's look at a few things you definitely want to avoid during your interview. First of all, make sure you arrive on time. You can't afford to lose to your competition over something so simple. Next, don't exaggerate your background or skills. This really lacks integrity and will most likely not end well. Third, don't make up answers for questions you don't know. You're better off being honest and letting the interviewer know that this is not something you've considered in the past, or it hasn't been relevant to your career up to now, but you're a fast learner. Hiring managers are not likely to forgive that kind of a blunder, so be honest and straightforward. It's definitely the better path. Next, make sure you research the company before you walk in for the interview. Believe it or not, although this seems obvious, this is one of the biggest mistakes that candidates make. They get so focused on preparing for the technical portion of the interview that they forget to research the company. So be prepared to speak intelligently about their business and bring at least one or two questions that you can ask them about the company. That little bit of due diligence on your part will go a long way towards setting you apart from your competition. I remember one project interview that I had where the hiring manager picked me up in the building lobby, and as we walked back to his office for the interview, he asked me, "So, what can you tell me about the company?" I was prepared. I had read their annual report carefully and was able to share a couple of things that had impressed me about their business. I also had two solid questions to ask him about what I read. Finally, never criticize your previous boss or employer. That is in very poor taste, and I guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, you will not get the job. Once in a while, an interviewer will ask you if there's something you didn't like about your last job or employer. I'm not sure I like this question because they're looking for a negative answer, but don't fall for it. If you get the question, answer with something positive like, "Wow, that's a tough one because I really do like my current job," or "I really did like my previous job and I'm grateful for everything I've learned that is now allowing me to apply for this opportunity. So keep things focused on your attraction to their opportunity and your desire to be a part of their journey. Okay, let's summarize the keys to beating your competition and winning the job. Number 1, know your story and be prepared to tell it. Remember that understanding project management fundamentals doesn't differentiate you from the others. That's where you're all the same. Your unique fit in terms of your story is where you gain the edge over the others. So do your homework, read the job description carefully, and tell your story in a way that highlights your fit for this job. Second, study the life cycle of daily tasks. Again, project management fundamentals are nice, but when you're able to speak intelligently about the daily tasks that happen on the ground, you gain an advantage. Remember, you're not managing project fundamentals, you're managing people who are doing these tasks. So show the interviewer through intelligent conversation that you have a solid understanding of the tasks you will be managing and the order that they happen in. Next, know how to explain your weaknesses if asked. Remember, let them know that your strengths are your weaknesses and you're all about balancing those out on a daily basis. Next, be prepared to explain your leadership style and why you're the best fit for this job. Keep in mind that authority equals know-how, and because you know how to do your job, your team will see you as an authority and follow your lead. Next, go prepared to ask your key questions. Those questions we looked at together will show the interviewer that you are a career-minded person and not a fly-by-night candidate who's just looking for a job. Finally, understand the things you need to avoid and avoid them. Take that list seriously. You don't want to lose to your competition over something you could have easily prepared for. Remember, practice makes perfect. Follow the blueprint that I've laid out in this lesson. Make it yours. Work hard to prepare and go confidently to your next interview. So there you have it. You now have the secret to how to beat your competition during your next project management interview. Hit rewind and listen to this material as many times as you need to in order to prepare for your next interview. Also, leave your comments below. I'd like to hear about any challenges that you've had in prior interviews or any questions you have about an upcoming interview. Finally, if you found this video useful, I want you to do 2 things. Number 1, hit the like button, and number 2, subscribe to my channel. In the days and weeks ahead, I'm going to be posting some really great project management material, and I don't want you to miss it. See you on the next video. Hey, thanks for listening. I really enjoyed spending the time with you. Make sure to check the links on my channel page and follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to come back here to my YouTube channel and let me know how your next interview goes. I'd love to hear from you.